So good morning. It's nice to see you guys today. I hope that you're well. I hope that things are at least stable or calm where you're at. If they're not, we hold space with you today because I know there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening out there in the world. So today, we were going to talk about the next. We were going to talk about the next category. Oops, sorry about that. That we were going. Man, my brain today. We were going to talk about the next category in our own self-accountability in the relationships that we play and the things that go on in our world. Well, I think that this idea of compassion has been speaking to me lately, and I think that is what we're going to shoot at today, hence the title, Compassion. Let me get this shared out to the community here real quick. So if you're new to me, I'm Marshall Burtcher. I help codependents rediscover happiness after narcissistic relationships, love addiction, and trauma. Been doing this for a good 12 years, and yeah, that's what I do. I help you accomplish that through 3 phases of healing, coming to know yourself, and coming to hell. Or share yourself, coming to hell. We don't really want that. So, okay, now I'm going to get this shared out to the community here. Boom. So if you're looking for a safe haven, a place where you can be seen and heard and believed and supported in the journey you're in currently, the Thriving Beyond Codependency community is the place for you. The link is above on Facebook and below on YouTube. If I got that right, yeah. And if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe there. All right, so because I'm a little flustered, I'm just going to take a moment and regulate. We're in a lot of fun these days, I'll tell you. All right. So compassion. This is something I wrestled with for a very long time, especially when it was when I was dealing with shame. Okay, so shame and compassion have a relationship. And this relationship is about worthiness. It's about deservingness, to make up a word. And what happens a lot, especially in narcissistic relationships or narcissistic systems, we are taught that we earn love. We are taught that we earn value. We have to prove our worth in order to gain something, right? Well, compassion is one of those things we think we have to earn. And so in place of where compassion would naturally belong in a person that has been nurtured in their value of who they are, shame exists in the space that compassion would dwell in. So I have this wrestle here with shame and with compassion. And this tends to shape our experience, our perspective of compassion, and lead us into a chase mode. We want to chase it. We want to get it. We need to get the compassion. We need to earn the compassion. One day there'll be a magical moment in which I'm worthy of the compassion that I need in order to grow, right? So we're caught in this catch-22 or this double bind. I have to be perfect or adequate enough to have the compassion that I need to grow. See the problem? And so when we fail to bridge these two impossibilities, we feel shame, we feel inadequate, we feel stupid. And this gets us locked into this nightmare of chasing and going through this loop over and over and over. So compassion isn't what you've been taught it is or what you've concluded it is, if this is resonating with you. Compassion is actually something that we don't earn. Compassion isn't something that we have to prove ourselves worthy of. Compassion is something we're naturally deserving of. We're naturally worthy of having. And the reason why is because we're not an object. We're not a utility. We don't serve to please other people. We don't exist to please other people, rather. We don't exist to meet their needs. We don't exist to bring them something or take care of them. That isn't us. That's a codependent identity. It's a codependent purpose, but it isn't who you are. Who you are is something bigger and greater than that you get to discover as you heal and as you grow and as you share yourself in the world. And compassion approaches a human being, approaches an individual the way like you would approach a hurting animal or another human being. You value them. You appreciate them. You care about them. You're not going, well, did you make me feel good yesterday? Well, you made me feel good 3 times, so you don't get compassion now. It's not this transactional scorekeeping based idea. It's like, wow, you're in pain. I'm here. I want to understand you. I want to hold space with you. I want to give time with you. That's compassion. Compassion is the admittance that it sucks right now. It's hard. It's that we didn't deserve what we're getting. Sometimes the consequence is a direct result of our choices. We don't need to have judgment in there. We need to have compassion. Maybe a little accountability if we're doing something that enables this pattern in our world. But also compassion. It's like, well, of course I'm doing this. How else? I don't know any other way to do it. See, compassion is considerate of one's context, where we've been, what our history is, what we've been through. See, it's not divorced from that. It's an kind understanding of that. And it says, yeah, this is hard. And it's okay that you feel the way you feel. Oh, you're in pain. Well, of course you're in pain. Look what you're going through. That pain matters. Notice that compassion isn't about fixing anything. It's not about avoiding consequence either. It's about an embrace of the experience. It's like, wow, yeah, this is hard. This is rough. I see that going on. Compassion is also an allowance of what's called positive warm regard, meaning there's positive intention behind your efforts. And those positive intentions may not have translated well if this was a situation in which things were difficult or failed. They still deserve to be acknowledged. There is a kindness assumed in the act, right? And that compassion from that angle can give us permission to grow. Because it's like, yeah, I failed there. What did I learn? I can do something different now. I can grow here. I can be different. This empowers us to approach ourselves with kindness and with a mindfulness about our own experience and our own validity, rather than apply harshness and judgment to ourselves and then make ourselves wrong. See, in transactional systems, there is a right and a wrong. And that right and wrong is determined by what pleases the authority in that system. That's the issue there. You don't have an authority over you as a human being. Like, your persona is sovereign. There isn't some other power or person that gets to define you, that gets to determine your value, your worth, your capability, your limits. Those are your things. Those are yours. They're your responsibility, your job. And we get out of that transactionalism where something outside of ourselves determines these things, and we get back into connection, into a respect and love for who we are and how we feel and what we're going through and what we need or want. That's the magic of compassion, because it allows us to acknowledge our humanity and our validity just as we are. There isn't an earning of compassion. There is just simply an embrace of where we're at, because you deserve it. You always have. This is the rub with compassion. A lot of times we're like, well, I need to do something right to get compassion. No. Compassion is going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be unorthodox. It's going to go against the grain, because you're leaving a transactional system and entering a system based on connection and your well-being. Which means applying compassion to yourself will be uncomfortable. It will be weird. It will feel foreign. You'll feel like you don't deserve it. That's normal. And then you can open up to it and go, well, maybe I do. What would it be like if I opened up to the possibility that I did deserve it, just as I am? Man, even my body's like, yeah, I like that. That big deep breath, that's a relaxation, that's a letdown, that's letting go of some resistance and judgment. Because that's the opposite here. Compassion or judgment. Compassion leads to love, it leads to care, it leads to growth. Judgment leads to shame and to repeating patterns of behaviors that are destructive for you. Keeps you locked into your cycle. Whereas compassion is the magic key that unlocks a gate that you didn't know even existed, and you can just leave the maze. Because you don't have to earn your worth anymore. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to chase love. And I know that can sound like, man, Marshall, yeah, that's a nice pipe dream you got there. That's just total bullshit. Yeah, I get it. I was there. I very much relate to that point of view, especially depending on where you are in your journey outside of codependency. The thing we have to remember here is that we don't know everything, right? We don't have all experience. And that opens up a possibility for you to explore. It's like, well, what if there is love out there just for who I am? What would that look like to me? What would it feel like? When you start to explore that, you're going to start to see that it does exist in your world, and it's been coming to you from various sources. It does not come from abusive people. Okay? An abusive person doesn't love you. An abusive person possesses you. They want to control you. Love is defined by behavior, not just by feeling, guys. So if someone claims that they love you, then you got to start looking at the pattern of behaviors they exhibit. Because that's patterns of behavior tell the truth. Somebody loves you, their patterns of behavior need to align with that, or it's not something you can really trust. At least that's how I approach it. Some people object to that approach. I don't, obviously, because it works for me. Because I don't know what this person's trying to do, but if they're doing something that's hurting me or harming me or devaluing me in some way, then they're not coming from love, are they? Love doesn't do those things. Love can be confrontational. It can be accountable. I mean, it can point things out, but it's not going to tear a person down. What it's going to do is it's going to invite insight, and it's going to say, I feel this way about what's going on. Here's what I would like instead. That's caring. That's loving. That's compassionate, because it considers you and the other person. Abusive people don't do that. They tell you what's wrong with you, and then they expect you to change, when in reality, they're the ones that are doing the things that are abusive and harmful. So again, their behavior isn't showing up as love, so I would question the validity of their claims that they love you. That might be blunt and that might be confronting, but I tend to look for words and actions to be paired properly, because that means integrity. That means that's someone I can trust. So here's the trick when it comes to compassion, is you got to give yourself permission. You have to choose it. You have to choose compassion, just like you have to choose self-love or self-like. This isn't something that's just going to wake up one day in you and you'll be like, oh, I can be compassionate on myself. The journey forward is choosing it and doing it despite the discomfort, despite the sense of unworthiness, despite the friction you might feel, and giving yourself the permission to have it anyway. That's the secret out of this. Because in codependency, we are seeking someone else to give us permission to do these things, to have these things, to be these things. Because we think other people are right. We've made them an authority. We attach to them in a parental sense, which then means we put them on a pedestal of authority and rightness. And so the feedback they give to us, we take as law. We take as gospel, per se. This is why we fixate on what they think and feel. And this is why we internalize it, because we have created a fantasy around them that they know better than we do, that they have some sort of superiority that we don't, that they're an authority in some way. This is a response to fawning in the brain. The brain fawns, which means I'm going to elevate the other person and then try to please them. That's how we survive narcissistic and abusive relationships. It's how we survive neglect. It's how we survive attachments that are insecure and unreliable. So it can expand beyond just narcissistic abuse and just go into unreliable patterns of attachment that we have with particular persons in our world. We have to break that fawn response. And the way we do that first is by regulating our nervous system, because break is really not the right word. It's more like we have to evolve it into a healthy fight and a healthy flight response, which means I don't like how you treat me. And since I'm going to be my own authority today, this hurts me, this upsets me, this needs to stop. Here's how I want to be treated in the future. Are you willing to do that? And if they are, and then they do that, great, you can move forward. If they don't, then you're learning something about them, that they're not reliable. They're not sincere. They may not even be honest if they, and I mean that. We have to have a higher threshold here with people, with ourselves and with others. Like, we need to be honest. We need to be kindly honest. But we need to own our word. We need to follow up, right? This is how it really works. So, yeah. Boom. And then in that, with the holistic point of view, is the compassion for when we screw up, because we're gonna. But screwing up says, hey, yeah, I messed up. I'm really sorry for the impact it had on you. Here's what I'm gonna do differently. And then to ourselves, we're like, I grew and I still love myself, and it's okay that we screwed up. It doesn't define us. It doesn't eliminate our value. It doesn't trap us in anything. It cares for us. Because compassion is the allowance of being ourselves and allowing ourselves to grow and giving ourselves some positive warm regard, positive consideration that we're trying our best, that we are learning and growing, and that we are evolving and becoming better at what we do. So guys, today, I invite you to give yourself compassion. I invite you to choose compassion, to choose empathy and love for yourself. And to support you in this, I got one of my tools from the Heal Yourself membership. It's linked above on Facebook, below on YouTube. It's the Compassion Meditation Tool version 1. That can give you some assistance as you move forward in your healing. Also, if you've been following me for a little while, you've been hearing me talk about the relationship strategy. Early bird registration is open. It's going to be open for the next 5 days, so that's going to expire on October 25th. Link is below on Facebook, above on Facebook, below on YouTube. There's like 8 spots left open in early bird registration at the current price. So jump on that link, get yourself signed up. It's going to save you $500 on enrollment, because full enrollment opens November 15th. Okay, guys. Oh, and the relationship strategy is how I teach you how to build a relationship using what's called the what, how, who method. What do I want? How do I want it? Who fits it? We go really deep into those things. Helps you establish clear boundaries. Helps you manage attachment stress, your needs. It's a very, very powerful system. And it is ultimately what is going to break you into healthy, happy relationships. So definitely jump in and join us there. Guys, I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. I get your emails. I get your messages. I read them. I try to respond to all of them. I'm learning that as things grow, that becomes a little more difficult. But I want to acknowledge that I read them and I see them. I know we're going through a lot. I believe in you. I believe you. And we have got your back in the community. Okay? So remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. And I will see you guys in our next training video. Have a great day.